Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. As you begin to come in, if you can take just a moment to share and tag and share. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining me on this awesome Tuesday morning. Truly, it is a blessing to be among the land of the living. Good morning. Good morning. We're still waiting on a few more folks to join us. As people begin to join us, if you can just send them a message, say, hey, Quick Word Tuesday is on. Go in, share in groups, share in and on different pages, and let them know that there is a word from the Lord. There's a word from the Lord, and we're excited about giving it. For the past couple of for the past two messages that I delivered to you all, I was talking to you about vision, pursuing your vision, walking in the things that God has spoken and declared over your lives, how to protect the vision. Today we're gonna go a little bit further. I saw somebody wrote in the comments and said that they wanted part three. So here's part three of protecting the vision. So if you can invite some folk over, share and tag and share and look and say, look, hey, we're on part three of protecting the vision that God has given us, protecting the vision that God has given us. And so, hey, while you're doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you who I am. I am Dr. Deidre Samuel McLeod. I am the pastor of the amazing ministry right here in the great city of Hartsville, South Carolina. We are out here doing God's business. We out here doing his big work, and we allowing God to use us. And I'm telling you, my motto at the church is we are a place that we can be different in order to make a difference. That is what we truly desire to do, and what we desire to pursue every single day that God allow us to be able to live. So if you can share and tag and share, I know that there are so many more people that need this word, that need to hear this word, that has been following me or might not even know who I am. But I challenge you to be able to send this out to a few people and say, hey, five people, and say, hey, get on over. If you got a vision that God is giving you and you've been struggling with it, you don't know what to do with it, there is a word from the Lord that God is speaking through this woman of God to be able to help you to be able to get it started. So as you sharing and as you tagging, I'm just gonna go ahead. While I was riding home from the gym, I went to the gym this morning, and then I stopped by the grocery store, and I was just talking to the Lord about what it is that you would have for me to say to the people on today. And oftentimes, I don't think that we seek the face of God enough about what it is that we want God to be able to share with His people. We just take every opportunity, and sometimes, just to be honest, sometimes we just shoot from the hip, or we just get on and just say some stuff. But I promise you that I like to hear from God, to see what it is. I take every opportunity to tell people, look, that this right here is not from Dee Dee. This is not from Deidre. This is from God, and I want to share it to you. I always, even if I find scriptures and go off of the scripture, I still like to give a little bit more insight. I like to give personal testimony, because look, I have not been in business for 30 years and don't know what it is that I'm doing. I have not been in business for 30 years and have not had to really seek the face of God to find instruction, to find confirmation, to look for more direction on what it is that God is calling me forth to do. So listen, this right here is not somebody that's new to the game. This is somebody that's true to the game and understand what it is that God is calling us to do. Excuse me. So on this morning, as I was driving down the road and I was getting closer to home, that the Lord said to me, don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty. And I think that some of us, I know as for me, I'm gonna also give personal testimony along with scripture. As for me, that I started feeling guilty. I'm feeling guilty that I didn't do it the way that other people wanted me to do it. I didn't go the route that they were telling me to go. But I sought the face of the Lord and I started asking God for instruction. And I think that some of us right now, we don't know how to pursue the thing that God has called us to walk in because we're so busy trying to please everybody. We so busy trying to please everybody, trying to make everybody comfortable about an assignment, a God-given assignment that the Lord has given us. So this right here is a part of protecting the vision. And so I want you to understand that we can't feel guilty. There were times that I felt guilty. I felt frustrated. I felt aggravated because I was trying to do it their way instead of doing it the way that God has given me. And so sometimes I found myself, I was more frustrated, and pursuing the thing. And as a matter of fact, when I started listening to other people so much, it started no longer looking like what God gave me. It started looking like what they were saying to me and what they were telling me to do and how they were telling me to operate, how they were telling me to go forth, how they were telling me to make it happen, how they were telling me to target this audience and to do this and to do that and do this. And it started getting further and further away from what God has actually given for me to do and what God has given me to say. And so I want to start off saying to you, God's approval matters more than people's approval. And so when you start to walk and protect in the vision that God has given you, you got to understand it's not about just pleasing man. As a matter of fact, it ain't about pleasing them at all. It's about pleasing what it is that God told you to do. When I first started my ministry, when I first started the church, that my very first service, it looked like where I came from, and it looked like the church that I was once worshiping at. And God had already gave me clear instructions. God gave me what time to start. God gave me how to start it. God gave me how to move forward. But I started allowing so many people to get in my ear that it started moving away from the vision that God gave me, and it started looking like what they said to me. When I started my women's ministry, I never forget that when God gave me the title, the Daughters of Zion ministry, people that was trying to help me to bring it about, they started trying to tell me in my ear that you can't do that somebody else got that title. Somebody else is already operating as the Daughters of Zion ministry. But you got to understand that just because God gave you something that might have the same title as somebody else does not mean that God has called you to do the same thing that they're doing. You got to understand that your vision might be different. The direction that God might be calling you in might be different than theirs. But don't downplay yourself simply because somebody else got a name that might be Beautiful You Salon, that might be the Daughters of Zion ministry, that might be Divine Destiny ministry. I never forget when I gave the church the name Divine Destiny Ministry. Somebody that I started befriending in this walk with God, that they actually stopped talking to me. They had already they opened up their doors and they allowed me to do Bible study at their church. They were starting to help me with the women's ministry. They was walking alongside with me, trying to give me information because they was doing it before me. But when God gave me the title, the Divine Destiny Ministries, they started talking junk about me. They started raising up against me. They started calling me false. They started calling me fake. They all of a sudden stopped talking. They no longer wanted to even be a part of me because the title of their church had Divine Destiny Ministries in theirs. And so therefore they started trying to downplay me. They tried to sabotage me and they started trying to do all kind of stuff. And I was like, look, you must understand that there is more than one Divine Destiny Ministries. There is more than one Daughters of Zion ministry. There is more than one Beautiful You Salon. There is more than the name Bianca. There is more people named in the world Audrey. There are more people in the world named Perez. There are more people named Deidre other than you. And you got to understand that you ain't the only one that got that name. But you got to understand that we all got an assignment. So I say to you, God's approval matters so much greater than man's approval. You got to understand that. Galatians 1 and 10 says, for I am now seeking the approval of man or of God. This right here is what he's saying. Or I trying to please man? If I were still trying to please man, I would not be a servant of Christ. So when you start trying to walk in the vision that God is giving you, you got to start asking yourself, who am I pleasing? Am I pleasing God or am I pleasing man? Because when you start going back and forth, worrying about approving and pleasing man and appeasing man, I'm telling you right now that you're going to start getting yourself away from the vision that God is giving you. And so I'm telling you, you're gonna offend some folk. So if you're afraid to go forward, because you're afraid of offending people, I'm telling you now, moving forward in the thing that God has called you to operate in, you might want to digress now. Because I'm telling you, the more you walk in the thing that God has spoken and declared over your life, you're gonna have to start asking yourself, who am I pleasing? Am I pleasing God or am I pleasing man? Because Paul teaches that serving God sometimes require making choices others won't understand. Everybody won't always understand your vision. Everybody won't always understand the call. Everybody won't understand why you got to start service at 8 o'clock. I remember people had a whole post up laughing and talking about me. I knew they were talking about me when they started saying, who start a church service at 8 o'clock? I went to Sunday school at 8 o'clock because who getting up that time of morning? Okay, you laugh as much as you please. It's okay. I'm not called to you because when I'm called to you, you understand that God gave me the time to start at 8 o'clock. And even when I was trying to please man, because I kept saying, God, who's coming at 8 o'clock? I was still trying to start service at 10. And even when I was looking for musicians, the musicians even said to me that if you start your service at 8 a.m., I can be your man. He could have easily said, if you start your service at 12. He could have easily said, because he had another service at 10. And he could have easily said, if you start your service at 12, start your service at 1, start your service at 4, start your service at 6. But he came back and confirmed what God was already speaking to me and said, if you start your service at 8 a.m., I will be your man. It was already confirmation to me because God already said it. So when you start pursuing your dream, pursuing the thing that God has spoken over your life, ask yourself, who are you following? Are you following man? Are you trying to please man? Or are you trying to please God? Because when you try to please God, I'm telling you right now, you will begin to attract people that that's following the vision that God has already given you. Period. So seeking God's approval over people's expectation is an act of obedience. So if you're not doing it God's way, you're not walking in obedience to God. If you're doing it your way, if you're doing it to please them, if you're doing it to only accommodate them, that means that you made no space for God. And if you made no space for God, it cannot be a vision from God because you didn't follow the instructions that God gave you or gave God opportunity to even show up to what God is actually speaking and declaring over your life. So whose approval are you seeking? God-given assignment, I'm telling you, is going to always be unique. God give each person that each one of us. I have a salon named Beautiful You Salon, but I know that there are other people that also got the name Beautiful You Salon. I know that there are other churches named Divine Destiny Ministries. You can Google that and you can find that for yourself. There are way more than just one Beautiful You Salon. There's way more than just one Divine Destiny Ministries. I remember one of my church members went to the hospital. And even though I was at the wrong hospital, I asked for her name. I came to visit her. And guess what? We were sitting in the waiting room, waiting to go back to see the name that I called out. And only to find out that it was not the same Wanda that I was there to look for. So what are you saying? That just because somebody got the same name as you does not mean that you're going to attract the same people. Does not mean that you have the same identity. Does not mean that you have the same instructions that God has given you. Does not mean that you have the same assignment. But what has God called you for to do? So God gives us, each one of us, unique assignments. tailor made just for you. Ephesians 2 and 10 says, "For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand, that we shall walk in them." What should we do? Walk in them. God called us to walk in the thing that he has called and spoken over our lives. So therefore, before you was ever born, before you was ever knitted together in your mother's womb, God already had a design for you. He already had an assignment for you. He already had made sure that you was going to walk in the thing that he has spoken over your life. So if you're not pursuing it, it's not God's fault. It's yours. Because God already predestined everything for you to begin to walk in it. It's just left up to you to do it. So here it is. God is saying you don't need to apologize for walking in what he designed for you. What I look like apologizing for being me, for looking the way God created me to look, for 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 being this beautiful caramel chocolate woman that God has called me to be. Why should I be apologizing to you for it? God created me. So why should you be walking around trying to apologize to people, feeling guilty about walking in the thing that God has spoken over your life? I can't help that God gave me the vision. I can't help that God gave me the dream. I can't help that God called me to walk forth in this. I can't help that God spoke over my life and told me that he called me to this. I can't help it. So why am I apologizing to you? If anybody we should be worried about offending should not be man, it should be God. God, I apologize for not recognizing sooner who you called me to be, who you chose me to be, who you ordained for me to be. I apologize to you, God, but I will not be guilty because somebody else walking in their feelings and they're walking in jealousy and walking around envious because I'm walking in the thing that God has spoken over me. So you don't need to apologize to them. You're protecting your vision. Do it your way. God didn't call me to do it like you. Even when I go to hair shows, there are so many other people that cut hair. There are so many other people that color hair. But guess what I do? I walk in there. I don't go in there and sit up there like this and act like they can't teach me anything. I sit in there because they took the time out of their day to pursue the vision that's upon their life. To say, you know what? I'm gonna start the class. I'm gonna walk forth in the thing that God has spoken. And so I sit there because it might be a way that they hold their shears. It might be a way that they apply their color. That might make it easier for me. That I never knew or never operated or did it like that. And so therefore I'd be like, oh, okay, now I can take that back to my salon. The reason why some of us are not walking in the thing that God has spoken over our lives simply because we'll sit in rooms and act like we already know it all. A part of protecting your vision is not being afraid of sitting in other atmospheres and other rooms and not being afraid that somebody else can teach you something, that somebody else can show you something, that somebody else can present something to you that you might have not ever seen before, or you might have never done it that way. Not to say it's going to take anything away from what God has called you forth to do. I had a meeting yesterday. I'm preparing to do my women's conference. And I had a meeting to present to them my vision, my dreams. I'm sure that some of them were on there that they already hosted women conferences. They already hosted different things. But guess what? I didn't go on there scared. I didn't go in there with, well, how did you do it? I can intimidate. No. What I did was I came on and presented to them the vision that was given to me. I came on to give them the mission that was given to me and let them know this is my expectation of the women's conference, the Breathe Again Women's Conference. I'm not taking away from anything of how God used you. But what I am doing is telling you that I pray that how God is planning to use you at this conference, that we're all able to come together and be able to operate and flow together, and that we don't be in here trying to compete against one another and trying to act like because you didn't do it this way that it won't be successful. If all of us come together, absolutely, Minister B, if all of us come together with unity, we'll be able to see more of what God is actually trying to show us and do through us. And we'll begin to see God really move in all of our lives. So you don't have to apologize. Just be you. Do it the way that God has called for you to do it. In Habakkuk 2 and 2 through 3, it talks about writing the vision and make it plain on tablets. For they that read it, they will be able to run with it. For though the vision tarry, wait for it. So even if it seems slow, I was sharing with one of my friends, one of my pastor friends yesterday, and I said, I know God gave me this vision. And I said, but my God, sometimes it be so frustrating trying to put the pieces together, trying to move forward, trying to get people to believe in the thing that God has given you, the right division, so that other people can be able to pursue it with the same faith and to pursue it with the same tenacity that's on me. To pursue it with the same diligence, to pursue it with persistency. And sometimes it's frustrating. And he said to me, he said, I want to talk to you not only as a bishop, I also want to talk to you as a friend. And I said, I want you to talk to me as being my friend and also being a minister in the gospel. I want you to do that. And he said to me, he said, I'm now going into my 11th year. There were times that I wanted to quit. I'm talking about protecting your vision and not feeling guilty. He said, I'm going in my 11th year and I've just started seeing people gravitate to what I've been preaching, what I've been presenting, what I've been demonstrating. He said, going into my 11th year. What year is it for you? I said, I'm going into my 7th. He said, keep feeding them the vision. Keep feeding them what God gave you. Don't change. Keep feeding it to them. If they're not called to you, trust me, they'll fall off. But when they call to you, they'll keep wanting what you have to offer. They'll keep showing up. They'll keep wanting to eat what you give. Why? Because they not only believe in you, but they also believe in your vision. I was saying sometimes I write posts. Sometimes I present stuff. I give stuff. And sometimes it's discouraging because the people that you believe that you're called to sometimes don't even link it. They don't even read your posts. And if they do, they don't even let you know because they don't even show a sign. And I said, and those are just small things in pursuing the vision that God has given me. I said, wow. And I said, what do you do? And I said, I keep trying to feed. I keep trying to give. I keep trying to show up and give them what God has given me. But sometimes they don't even show up to eat. They don't even show the signs that they ate it. He said, keep feeding them. Keep feeding them. I hate to tell you that sometimes walking in the thing that God has spoken, he says sometimes it won't be the people that you look to come eat. It'll be the people that you don't even know. He said, but keep feeding. He said, who called you to start writing your posts? Who called you to start the mission? Who called you to start the church? Who called you to start the women's ministry? Who called you to start the fellowship? I said, God. He said, if God called you to do it, keep posting. Even if they don't like a post, even if they don't share a post, even if they don't comment on a post, keep sharing it, keep doing it, keep going. Who called you to start the church? I said, God. He said, keep going, keep going, keep going. He said, even if it's just a few people, keep going. Keep feeding it to them. Keep giving it to them. He said, why? He said, because you got to keep writing the vision and keep making it plain. After a while, they'll start showing up to eat it. They'll keep showing up to eat it. They'll want to eat it. He said, don't get excited about feeding people that don't want to be fed, that can't show up, that even show that they even ate the crumbs that fell from the master's table. He said, keep showing, keep feeding, keep going, keep pursuing. Because guess what? Even the people that you think that you called to might not be it. I said, wow. I sat there almost all day and I kept feasting off of that. And I said, because God, I watch people that inbox me that want prayer. I watch how people, they can text me. I'm proud of you. That word that you spoke, it impacted my soul. They'll pull me over to the side, say in secret, shh, your message blessed me. Or they'll show up, but they don't want to be on film. So they don't even come up and show that they're on the lives because they don't want the people that talk bad about you to know that they're really listening and really following what you're saying and what you're doing. He said, but guess what? Keep feeding, keep posting, keep showing up, keep delivering, keep writing the vision. Because guess what? You can't be guilty about what God has given you. You can't be guilty about how you keep showing up. You can't be guilty about pursuing the dreams, pursuing the vision, pursuing the call that God has given you. Only thing you can do is keep going. Keep going. Listen, God's vision often requires patience because it won't always show up just like that. It won't. It won't show up. So it requires patience. It requires persistency. Keep pushing. Keep prowling. Keep pushing. Keep going. Why? Because after a while, your persistence will make people recognize you. It will make it. There was a widow woman that went before an unjust judge, went before him. And she already knew that they took everything that belonged to her. She kept going before the unjust judge. She kept going. She kept going. She kept going. Why? Because she understood, I want back what the enemy has stolen from me. She kept being persistent. What did the judge say? The judge said, basically, like, I just give it to her. Because at that point, he was starting to get tired of her showing up, wanting what she wanted. He was getting sick of her until he ended up saying, give it to her. So what am I saying? Your vision might not be coming the way that you thought it would have been. But how persistent are you? How persistent? My first church service, it was packed. It was packed from the front to the back. The next Sunday, there was hardly nobody there. I was like, God, what happened? God, you gave me this, you gave me this vision. God, what happened? What happened? I left discouraged because I was basing what I saw last week. I thought because it was a God-given vision. It was a God-given thing. I thought people was going to be overflowing, running down all the time. No, but I had to keep showing up. I couldn't quit. Did I want to quit? Yes. But there were times that I had to wipe the tears from my eyes in my car and still walk in and preach to sometimes more empty chairs than it was people. But I had a vision from God. When I started Beautiful You Salon, people that heard me cry, saw me cry, saw me talk about having a salon spa for years, for years. People that I thought were my friends, and not just friends, best friends. I can count on one hand how many times they walked in the salon spa that I cried about getting to support the vision that I had. I looked around. I looked around at my grand opening, my all white grand opening. Nobody knew because I kept smiling. But I was so hurt and so discouraged on the inside because there were people that I was expecting to be there. That I forsake my own health to do their hair. Times that I was sick, I came to work. Times that my children were sick, I came to work. Times that I just had surgery, I came to work. Discouraged, I came to work. Whether it was the times that their regular schedule, I still came. And when I needed for them to show up for me, to clap for me, I didn't see those same people looking around to support me when, and for years, I forsaked me. I forsaked me to look out for them. And at the moment that they were inconvenienced, the moment that I might not have moved or said what they wanted me to say or do, they walked away from me. But God was showing me even in that time, because you got to understand, you still got to go through the process. The process don't feel good. That was one thing that my friend said to me. He said, you in the process. The process don't feel good. Just because God gave you a vision does not mean that you're not going to have to endure the process, because you're going to have to endure the process. People like to talk about being on the mountaintop with God, but they don't like to talk about there are times that I also got to endure the valley. There are times that I got to endure where I am, because God want to see, can you handle the vision that I've given you? Can you pursue it without compromise? Can you pursue it without swaying and looking back and saying, Lord, I it was better back then. I had more clients when I was doing it like that. I had more church members, God, when I was doing it their way, but I wasn't doing it yours. And so God is saying, can you stay true to the vision? Can you remain persistent even when, even when everybody else walk away? Delays are not signs that you should abandon what he has spoken over you. Have I been delayed? Yes. Did I go forth when I thought that I should have? No, I didn't, because I allowed fear to get in the way. Or who she thinks she is. She thinks she pretty. She always thought that she was this. And sometimes I walked away from the vision, or delayed walking in the vision, because I was saying to God, who gonna follow me? Who gonna support me? Who gonna buy my books? Who gonna come to my conferences? Who gonna come? Who gonna come to my retreats? Who gonna come? And just like I said on last week, that sometimes we'll we'll try to bring our vision down to meet the people instead of keep building on the vision that keeps soaring to where God has called us to walk in, to keep walking in. And instead, because of our fear and afraid that the people down here won't support it. The people down here won't come. We start trying to downsize our vision to bring it down to their level instead of saying, God, you gave it to me and you told me and you gave me clear instructions for me to now to fly, for me to fly. So don't think that it's not God because you got delays. Delays are not signs that you should abandon what God has spoken. As a matter of fact, it's a sign that you should go at it a little bit harder. You should push at it a little bit harder. Don't ever neglect the gift that God has placed on the inside of you. Don't ever neglect it. I neglected the gift that God placed on the inside of me. I always like to share my testimonies. And even when I write posts about it, people automatically think that I'm discouraged or they like try to come back in and try. No, I'm trying to tell you, trying to encourage you because I didn't live through it. I didn't been through it. And I neglected my gift of walking in the prophetic, of training and teaching people how to walk in the prophetic or how to be who God has spoken. I love you too. How to be who God has spoken and declared over your life. I neglected that because the people that was over me, that I thought that they had my best interests at heart and they didn't. And I started neglecting my gift and started downplaying me and saying, I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. And I centered doing what God called me to do based around somebody else's perception and not off of what God has given me to do, the vision that He has given me. And so the LOP fellowship is coming forth. Why? Because it's the vision that God has given me. And so, yes, it's going to be scary. Yes, you're going to be like, God, where are the people? Yes, it is. But I'm not bringing down the standards of the vision that God has given me, or stop posting my lives, or stop doing ministry, or stop doing women's ministry, or stop doing what God has called me to do because small-minded people want to keep me down here instead of saying, I believe in what she's doing. And I'm going to look past the messenger because the message that she's delivering, I need it for me. When I started even my CEU classes, still trying to teach, still trying to empower, still trying to give. There were times that there were only 5, 6, 7, no more than 10 people that would show up to my CEU classes. But I kept doing them. I kept doing them. Why? Because vision. And people that needed them, they would drive by me. They would take classes in Florence, live here in Hartsville. They would go to Columbia. They would go to Myrtle Beach. They would go to Columbia. Did I leave frustrated sometimes? Yes. Did I leave discouraged sometimes? Yes. But I had vision. I kept vision. God, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. Yes. God honors humble beginners. Yes. Keep going because I need to protect the vision. And I can't allow people to make me stop the vision that you have given me. I saw a young lady that hosted a women's conference. She hosted a women's conference, and absolutely nobody came. I mean, not one person, not one person. Nobody was there but her. She had the decorations laid out. She had gift bags set up in front of every chair. She had gift bags. She had food catered, everything. And she said on the reel that she posted, she said, Lord, I did this believing that you gave me this vision. And she said, I was so hurt because nobody came. But she said she still taught. She still passed out her gift bags. She still sat there and ate and went through the entire empowerment as if the room was full. And she said, and that first empowerment showed her that you're stronger than you ever thought that you would ever be. And she said, and from then on, she kept going. And empowerments kept getting bigger and bigger. I host empowerments. There are times that I came to empower, that I came to pour, that I came to give. And some people, because they see a registration on it, I'm not coming. They see that it's you, I'm not coming. And I started to even post because my next empowerment is coming up, and it's an empowerment / my pre-birthday celebration. So it's going to be more than just an empowerment. It's going to be a whole vibe. It's going to be a whole move of God. I'm telling you, I want to have an amazing time. I do. I can't tell you that we're not going to do the electric slide. I'm not telling you that. I'm telling you that we're gonna eat good, that we're gonna fellowship, we're gonna make divine connections. I'm telling you, because I said that I want my vision for my pre-birthday celebration to look like what I do. I invited a mogul. She's a mogul. She's bad. Bad. Millionaire status. Speaking at my event, empowering the people that show up, that come celebrate with me. These are the rooms that God put me in to celebrate with me. When I went to her celebration that she had at her house, when I walked in, and when we pull up, the GPS um brought us there. I was like, baby, we must be at the wrong house. We must be. He said, take it out and redo it. I restarted the GPS, and it still brought me back to her house. When I walked there, mansion, servants, maids, working, doing their thing. Hey, woman of God, I'm so glad to have you here. Pastor Deidre, serving caviar, serving crabs, serving or serving. I'm sitting here looking like, God, where am I? I bless you, evangelist. I received it. But that is exactly what God was showing. I'm preparing you for where I'm taking you. I'm putting you in other rooms. We just looking for people to get in room with so we can wait them fans that. No, I'm looking for people to connect with, to help pursue the vision that God has placed on the inside of me. To say, I see the vision in you. Let me help you get there. Let me whisper your name in ears of people that never heard of Dr. Deidre Samuel McLeod. Let me put you in environments. That's how God protect the vision. Let me hurry up and run. I know we've been on a little bit longer, but I just had to share. So don't neglect the gift God placed in you. 1 Timothy 4:14-15. Do not neglect the gift you have. Practice these things. Immerse yourself in them so that all may see your progress. So even when you post and do stuff, do it. Don't be embarrassed about showing what God is doing in your life. Do it. Don't be afraid to show people your progress. I'm not afraid to tell people that I was broke one time. And that God, I'm not afraid to tell people I lived from doing hair on Saturday and couldn't wait to get back in that salon on Tuesday because I was already broke. Couldn't wait for the first client to come in. But now God taught me how to budget myself, taught me how to take the little that I had, taught me to say no. And see, when you've been broke enough, some of y'all ain't been broke enough. But when you've been broke enough, you'll realize I got something to eat at house. I can eat that turkey sandwich at the house. I can make me a jelly toast. I I can scramble me an egg. You'll realize I don't have to go to every event that everybody is inviting me to. You'll realize it. I just because it's on sale don't mean it's on sale for me. It can be on the clearance rack. And it's still that ain't me. You're gonna fix some tuna today. And the truth of the matter is, oodles and noodles, yes. And I learned how to cut up some stuff and make those oodles and noodles. They be like, I mean, fine dining. You'll learn because you'll realize they don't want to be broke no more. Even when my bank account get to a certain place, not that I'm broke. mm, It's just in an uncomfortable place that I don't want to be in. So I'm not coming. I'm not going. I'm not coming. Absolutely. I'm not coming and I'm not going. And you can't be afraid to do it. Next thing is that even when you can't neglect the gift, Jesus stayed focused on his mission. I, I often think about it. When Peter was like trying to talk to Jesus, he didn't mean any harm. Some folk really don't mean any harm. But if you telling me to quit and give up and turn around is not a part of what God told me to do, that means that you are now on the side of the enemy. And you might not mean any harm. But if you telling me to do anything other than what God told me to do, that means that Satan, get thee behind me. Peter didn't, I'm sure that he didn't mean any harm talking to Jesus. But Jesus had to tell him, look, get thee behind me, Satan. Why? Because sometimes people can be with you, they can genuinely love you and still can't be able to see vision. And because they can't see vision, they will end up getting you off of your vision and you will miss what God has called you to do. Luke 9:51 says, Jesus set his face toward Jerusalem, knowing what awaited him. Despite misunderstanding, opposition, and sacrifice, he remained committed to the Father's will. Following God's vision requires the same. I was thinking about Aunt Gussie, and she would say that in a minute. The same. Following God's mission, doing my women's conferences, doing my women's retreats. Every time I put up a poll, and people might have voted against or had more people for what God told me not to do. God be like, why are you polling them? If that's a word. Why are you asking them their opinion when I already told you what to do? So either they coming or they be left. But you're not changing your vision to do what I called you to do based upon what somebody else thinks. So why are you polling? You just wasting time. So Jesus stayed focused on his mission. You got to stay focused on your mission. even if your vision does not meet other people's standards, does not meet, or other people don't believe in what you're doing, or they can't do what you call them to do. You got to keep going. God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. There are going to be times that you're going to be afraid. You think I don't be afraid when I post that flyer? When Minister B finished those flyers and sent them to me for approval, I'd be afraid posting them. Are they going to come this time? Are they going to support it this time? God, are they going to believe this time? Are they going to show up this time? Heart fluttering. And it's easy to get afraid or walk in a place of fear because you're basing your success off of how many people support you and not by your obedience. You're successful not because you got 1,200 people on your live. You're successful because you was obedient to God. I don't care if you got 2 people on your live. You successful because you are walking in obedience. When you're not walking in obedience, that's when you're no longer successful. And there are people that have lives with 1,200 people on it, 1,400, 2,400, 10K, all of that. But that don't mean that they're successful. Because sometimes people jump on the bandwagon with people that look like they're successful. Because we as people, we say people are successful based upon numbers, not based upon obedience. And so reason why you don't think that you're obedient in the vision that God has given you, because you're basing it upon numbers. How many people showed up? There was only 5 people to come. But did you do what God told you to do? I don't care if you had 5 people all year. I was obedient to God. And we're so busy trying to make man clap for us, cheer for us. But why did you really start it? Why did you really do it? Why did you really go for it? Did God tell you? Or were you doing it because you was looking for hand claps? Or you was looking to line your pockets? There were times that I preached, and even up until still now, preached, and people will invite me and knew that I was still gonna come, I was still gonna give, and majority of the time, about my whole church is gonna come. So that's gonna automatically bring support to their business, their mission, their conference. And then sometimes I walk away with hardly nothing. I mean, not even enough to put a half a tank of gas in my car. But I kept going because I felt like God will be pleased with me, because I wanted to remain obedient to Him. Even though, let me help all the folk, all the hecklers that think that you don't deserve to be paid, because that's not scripture. Said a servant is worthy of his hire. Glory to God. My last point, and commit all your plans to the Lord. Proverbs 16:3. Commit your work to the Lord, and your plans will be established. When your vision is surrendered to God and aligned with His word, you can move forward with confidence instead of walking in condemnation, knowing you did exactly what God has called you to do. So, pursuing God's vision does not mean becoming prideful, does not mean ignoring what God has told you to do. It does not mean ignoring wise counsel. Does not mean none of that. But what it does mean, can you be obedient enough to God and walk in the things that God has spoken and declared over your life? Unapologetic, without feeling guilty that other people don't understand what God has called you to do. I am Dr. Deidre Samuel McLeod. I pray that you will join me again on this coming up Friday morning for prophetic intercession at 6 a.m. I'm going to run the credits and I'm going to run on. But I want to make sure that all of you, we have a deliverance service on next Tuesday at Divine Destiny Ministries. We have a deliverance service. If you need to be delivered from anything, I'm telling you, come. Divine Destiny Ministries. We starting at 7 p.m. Back it up, 6:30 for intercessory prayer. And then we going forth and worship at 7. And I'm telling you, you don't want to miss deliverance service next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, God is going to be in the house. And listen, every Sunday morning, we start service at 7:30 a.m. for intercessory prayer and 8 a.m. for morning worship. 8 a.m. every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Join Reverend Betty Samuel herself on her Facebook page as she go forth in noonday prayer. Join Dr. I'm about to call her doctor. Glory to God. Minister Bianca T. James and Deacon Clyde James as they go forth in Marriage Matters at 7:30 p.m. on Mondays. Every Tuesday, I'm going to be right back here at 10:30 along with you. And at Tuesday night at 6 p.m., we always go forth in prayer and Bible study at Divine Destiny Ministries. And every Thursday night at 9 p.m., join Evangelist herself for Power Moments as she go forth in Power Moments as well as interceding for the body of Christ. I'm telling you, God is doing his big work. And don't forget, my Blue Diamond Brunch is coming forth before you on September the 12th. Registration is $50, but I'm telling you, it's going to be so worth it. We're going to have an amazing time in the Lord. We're going to have a good time. And I invite you to show up, to be there, to support, to show up for me. It's for me. It's for me. It's for me. Dr. Deidre Samuel McLeod. Show up and let's have a good time in the Lord. Have an awesome and wonderful day. And to God be all of the glory. Peace.